If you are watching this video, it means that you are about to pick up your puppy. Yay! If you guys have any questions, and you probably will, I definitely recommend that you write them down, because when you get here, it happens so much. You get here, you're gonna be really excited, and you might completely forget your questions. So since everyone is hopefully coming right around the same time, you might hear a question from someone else. You may have the same question, and so that way everybody can benefit from everybody else's questions. And if you don't have any questions because I covered them all, then that's good too. That's fine also. All right, let's get the least pleasant aspects of the conversation out of the way right from the get-go. The rules. Please do not bring firearms to my house. Please do not bring a million things in my house because you might forget them. I can't tell you how often people will leave things. I've had purses left, scarves, hats, coats, mittens. Try to leave everything in your car. The second thing is gonna be shoes are gonna be off. You can either take them off out on the porch. That would be my preference, but if it's like pouring rain, then you're welcome to come in and take them off by the front door. Then we are going to go straight to the sink and wash hands. Everybody's gonna wash hands in the kitchen sink. I'll have a towel for you. Again, it's just for the puppy's safety. You're trying to keep everything as clean as possible. And then you're going to get your puppy, and then we're going to go ahead and handle the business part of it. So cash, take cash on pickup, get that out of the way, and then we can get on to meeting your puppy, talking about your puppy, answering your questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, you've got my ear, you know, you've got my time. Go ahead and ask whatever you want, and we'll get through as much as we can so that you feel completely prepared and like comfortable. I mean, you're never gonna feel really prepared. You never really feel ready, I think, when you take the responsibility seriously, when you know what a commitment it is. Please don't feel like you're asking stupid questions. None of your questions are ever stupid, and I've probably heard them 1,000 times. So don't be afraid to ask whatever question you have. I think it's probably just time to get into the fun part, which is talking about your new puppy and the things that you're gonna need to know for the first like day, 2 days, 3 days that you bring your puppy home. I don't want to inundate you with a million things at once, or you're just gonna feel overwhelmed, and it's probably gonna make you feel more anxious. So what this video is gonna be is to sort of give you the basics, try to answer as many questions as you might have in your head right now, and then also to just sort of let you know, enjoy your puppy weekend and not feel completely overwhelmed. And you don't have to worry about a lot of the heavy training until a couple months from now. Right now, it's getting to know your puppy and teaching your puppy words and keeping your puppy safe and getting your puppy on a good schedule. And that's pretty much it. You're probably full of excitement and maybe some nerves, a little bit of anxiety. If this is your first baby, this is your first dog, your first puppy, it's gonna be really stressful. And that's okay, that's normal. A lot of times I'm gonna say like, oh, I probably seem so ridiculous. Please don't feel like that. You're not ridiculous. Understand the consequences of, you know, bringing a dog in, making it a part of your family, and making sure that the dog doesn't become destructive or aggressive. We all know our hearts would be ripped out if that animal has to, you know, go somewhere else. So try not to beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up for being worried. Don't beat yourself up if you're not worried. You know, if you've had a puppy before, you might be a little bit more relaxed about it. If you've had a kid before, if you've ever had a human baby, then definitely relax, because you've got this under control. You've done this before, and this is gonna be easier, because, you know, you couldn't leave your baby in a playpen and just go to the grocery store. Like, you can leave this baby in a playpen and, you know, go get your hair done. That's not something, you know, you'd get arrested for that. So a puppy is it's not as hard as a human, and it's not as intense as a human. And if you've had a human baby before, you might remember at some point even sort of feeling like maybe you missed some of those milestones or those early weeks because you were so stressed out, and you sort of missed some of that joy. And the nice thing about a puppy is that you sort of get to go through all those amazing baby stages, but they go by really fast. You know, they don't drag out for 2, 3, 4 years. Puppies grow up super fast. You got a year. It's very unlikely that you are going to ruin your puppy. You would have to make an effort. So try not to believe that every single thing that you do in these early days is going to make such a massive impact that your puppy is going to be ruined beyond repair. That's not true. yes, good early training and good foundation are absolutely critical to having the smoothest sailing possible. I'm not going to say that's not true, because it is. To include the first 8 weeks that puppy is alive, that's really important. It is. But please do not believe that if you make mistakes that your puppy is going to just turn out to be a nightmare. Just understand that it is a process. Eventually you will be looking back on it fondly, thinking, okay, we got through that. It was a season, and it should be joyful. You should be enjoying it as much as possible. Right now is not the time to worry about if your baby can read. You know, like those "my baby can read" things where they're like, you know, there are people that have their baby and they're already worrying about their child getting into like the best preschool in the state, and you know their whole future is going to be ruined if they don't get into this preschool. There's so much pressure. I think that in those situations, that's like the mom worrying that she's going to fail, and then her kid's going to fail and it'll be all her fault. And if you're feeling like that with your puppy, just take a big deep breath. You are not going to fail your puppy if you don't have that puppy, you know, potty trained immediately and doing everything on command immediately. Just enjoy the baby bashing blocks together. You don't need to be reading. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, slow down, let the puppy be a puppy, enjoy the puppy, and follow the right steps that allow you to have that balance. It's like constantly checking on the balance, right? That's really more what it's about. It is a constant relationship where you're constantly checking the balance. And sometimes you get it lopsided and you just, you know, straighten it back out and you just keep going. It's an ongoing process. All right, so day is here. Everybody should definitely sit down and talk about what rules there are going to be. Is the dog allowed on the furniture? Is the dog allowed in certain rooms? What doors need to be closed all the time? Who's responsible for keeping things off the floor? Like, go over all of those things and make sure that everybody is really clear and everybody really understands what the expectations are, what the rules are, because that way when you say, you know, hey, this is your job, or hey, you know, you promised to do that, they don't say like, you know, the kid favorite of, I didn't know that. Everybody needs to be on the same page. If you're not all on the same page right away, things are gonna get kind of haywire. The dog needs to know that the rules that you are applying to the dog from the very first day are going to be consistent with everyone. In the beginning, when you bring, in the beginning, there was void. Anyway, if you bring your puppy home, you know, everybody's gonna be super excited. Everybody's gonna wanna play with the puppy. You know, the kids might even fight over the puppy. You know, everybody wants to just, you know, dump all of this attention on the puppy, and that's great for the puppy. But it does also mean that it's a great time to start laying down foundation. Right now, it is teaching your puppy English. That's the first step. Like, you've got to walk before you can run. You've got to learn English before you can move on to complicated things. So your first week home with the new puppy, you are doing a couple of things. You're bonding with the puppy. So you're establishing trust. You're establishing with that puppy that you are going to take care of that puppy, that all good things come from you or the other humans in the family. All good things come to the puppy from you guys. Everything good. You are the ambassadors of good. You are the good, right? And that the puppy can completely rely on you. The puppy can completely trust you. And then the other thing that you're doing, you're going to get through crate training. That is a lot of work. That is not fun at all. So that's your second thing. And then your third thing is going to be house training. That is all schedule. Schedule, 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 schedule. And then the final thing is teaching your puppy English. It's just building habits. So some of these habits that you want to start right away would include requiring the puppy to sit before the puppy can have anything. That's just like saying please for a puppy. You're just going to try to get them to learn that sitting is sort of like pushing the go button. All right? So you want to teach them that. So the sit for please is really important to get everybody doing from day one. The earlier we start the habit, the better, because you're not really just training your puppy. You have to actually train everybody in the family. Everybody in the family is starting out learning habits with this dog right away. And so start on the right foot, like start practicing the things that you need to do immediately with patience and love and gentle reminding. Try not to like scream at each other about it, but just remember the puppy needs to sit. Remember the puppy needs to sit. It's going to be hard. And they just want to, hug the puppy and kiss the puppy. It's a puppy. And you're saying like, you have to wait for the puppy to sit. And that's really hard. But I promise you, it is what you want to do in the long run. The first big thing is going to be stress. Your puppy is going to be so stressed out. This is a really, really, really big transition for this puppy. And remember, it's just a baby. They're leaving everything they know. You're about to take them away from their brothers and sisters and put them in a whole new world. And that's going to be like, it's going to be like a little puppy mind-blowing experience. So it's going to be scary. Just expect it. Expect your puppy to be anxious and kind of nervous. Try not to overwhelm your puppy right away. First day is going to be really stressful, so you really want to like ease your puppy into this with as much understanding as possible. Generally speaking, it takes about 3 days for a puppy to kind of come out of its shell. The first couple days it's going to be kind of rough, and so everybody in the family needs to take it easy and be gentle and slow with the puppies. So really excited children need to not rush at the puppy and like come down on the puppy really fast. Really exuberant, over enthusiastic children have a tendency to like come running across the room. I think like the ages 6 to like 9, 6 to 8, age 9, they tend to do this, and they will come like sprinting across the room and throw themselves down and right into the puppy's face, just bam. And the puppy does not like that. The puppy is gonna be like, wow, that's scary. Right now, they don't know the little kid, and so they have no idea if they're about to be made into lunch. But after a little while, it won't be such a big deal. Just those first couple of days, make sure that that puppy has some grown-up's eyes on it all the time, or it should be safe in a crate. So generally speaking, you want to supervise your puppy all the time anyway, but those first couple of days, you have got to have your eyes on the puppy, because what you want to do is make sure that nobody is pushing your puppy past his or her boundaries in these first fragile few days. If you bring a new puppy into a new environment that first day with a really overly enthusiastic child that is just like squeezing the puppy and getting in the puppy's face, you may end up with a puppy that actually starts disliking that child and maybe even not trusting all children. So you want to make sure that their first experience with children other than my children is super positive. Your kids can be kind of rough with the puppy as the puppy gets older and more comfortable with them. As long as the experiences are positive and the puppy feels safe, they can dangle the puppy, they can hug the puppy. That's fine. All that matters is that the puppy feels safe and comfortable. I think that the hard part is ages like 6, 7, 8. Kids have a harder time at that age really empathizing. It's just not a good skill for them just yet. And so this is a really good opportunity to try to encourage them to think what it must be like for the puppy and teach them to speak dog. And what you can do is point to the puppy's body language and explain if you're hugging them and they're trying to squeeze away from you, that means they're saying, please let me go. And you can hug the puppy, but if the puppy tries to get down, you have to respect the puppy and let him down. You want to teach your kids to treat the puppy the same way that they would treat their friends and not the way that they treat their stuffed animals. Puppies look like little stuffed animals and they're not, right? You want to teach them like, hey, we ask our friends permission to touch our friends. It's okay to hug our friends, but we ask permission. Well, puppies are the same way. Kids totally get that. As long as you get them to like really start looking at that puppy just like a friend and not like a stuffed animal, they will do the right things automatically. You just have to remind them. Within a week of just like repeating yourself a million times, they will really start to get it. And how do they ask permission? They put their hand out. If the puppy sniffs their hand and wags their tail, then they can pet their puppy. If they feel disappointed that the puppy wants to explore a little bit or maybe doesn't want to be squeezed and held all day long, then I would recommend getting a dog stuffed animal. I've made that recommendation to a lot of people with puppies, and everybody always has really good feedback about it. Then they can hug the stuffed animal all day and still follow the puppy around and play with the puppy in a way that is good for the puppy. You want to just feed that relationship, and the best thing that you can do early on is teach your child to respect the puppy as its own little sovereign individual. And so with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the next thing, which is socializing. You're gonna go out with your puppy and everybody's gonna wanna pet your puppy because your puppy is adorable and I want your puppy to get out and about. Take your puppy to dog-friendly stores, stuff like that. No dog parks though until your puppy's done with his or her shots, and no pet stores that sell puppies or have rescue puppies, and no rescue centers. You get out there, say you're in Home Depot or you're in like a Tractor Supply store or PetSmart, you're going to notice that there are going to be people that are going to come over and they're going to want to touch your puppy. And even as your dog grows up, you're going to have people that want to come over and touch your dog. I don't know what it is, but there are people out there that sort of feel like all dogs are like public dogs or something. You have to make sure that you are not going to be so nice to other people that you're allowing your puppy to kind of get misused. Your job is to establish this relationship with this little puppy that lets this little puppy know you're mama bear or your papa bear. There's people that are huge to your puppy. I mean, consider how massive people must look to a puppy that is this big. They look huge and they come over and do all of the rudest things for dogs. It is not acceptable to lean over or touch the head. It's extremely, extremely aggressive. And so people, not meaning to, do the most aggressive things all the time to dogs. They get bitten for it, but they can also really cause fear and reactivity in your puppy if you allow it to happen. So if you know already that you're one of those people pleasers, I'm one of those people. So believe me, I understand the problem where you just want to be nice to everybody. Try really hard to just talk yourself up right from the get-go, that when you go out in public with your puppy, people are going to respect your puppy's space. You don't know them, they don't get to touch your puppy. They can look at your puppy, they can talk sweet to your puppy, they can ask politely to pet your puppy, and then the answer is either no, or you can ask the puppy. They put their hand out and the puppy smells their hand, then say that they can pet the puppy under the chin, on the neck, not on the top of the head, under here. Pet their chest, that's fine. But people will come over and just put their hand on that puppy's head and just rub it. Don't let people do that. And let your puppy see you protect him or her. So if you're walking and you're carrying your puppy and somebody comes rushing at you and tries to reach for your puppy and you do this, your puppy's gonna be like, yeah, mom's got me. What you wanna do is have a dog that looks to you for protection, because otherwise your dog will protect herself. And you don't want her to do that, because that means growling or lunging or biting or snarling or something that is otherwise considered completely unacceptable in companion dogs. You want her to feel like if she looks at you, you've got this under control. Like you are not gonna let anybody mess with her. And if she looks at you and she sees that you're submissive to every scary thing that comes over, then she's gonna think she has to protect you. You make sure that you establish right from the get-go that you are there to protect her from all the scary, scary things in the world. If you go out and something scares your puppy and mama's got it under control, they relax really quickly. And then you can continue to have really positive experiences, and then your puppy grows up to be a very confident, relaxed dog that can go anywhere and see anybody and doesn't have an issue with it. That is 10% genetics and like 90% correct socialization. And so correct socialization is not everybody and their mother should touch my puppy when my puppy's a puppy. It should be your puppy goes places and has really positive experiences everywhere they go. So your job is to look at your puppy and see what your puppy is doing. If your puppy's terrified and then they're somehow validated that their terror is correct, is warranted, like they're scared of a person and then the person touches them, then they're gonna feel like, yeah, I was right to be scared of that person. See, if I hadn't run away, who knows what might have happened to me? If your puppy is terrified everywhere, it's not positive. It is not good socialization. What you're doing is teaching your puppy to be terrified. So what instead you wanna do is, if your puppy's terrified because a person comes over, but you block the person from having physical contact with your puppy, then maybe they can see the person talk sweet in a high-pitched voice, offer their hand for a sniff, you know, maybe pat them on the chest or under the chin where it's not so scary, and then walk away. Hey, that's awesome. You can also bring treats in like a Ziploc bag in your pocket. And if people come over and want to touch your puppy, but your puppy seems really just not comfortable just yet, what you can do instead is give them like, I like bacon because they really, really like bacon. And so even a nervous dog will usually take bacon. You can give them like a little tiny piece of bacon and say, here, you want to give her a treat, and then they can hold their palm out and offer the treat. That's awesome, because then your dog's like, ooh, strangers are fun. Socialization is definitely going to happen, but the key point of socialization is that your puppy is having lots of positive experiences. So you are the guardian. You are mama bear. Your puppy is a thinking, feeling creature. It is not a toy. And people have no right to come over and treat your dog like a toy. They may be very well-meaning, and I'm sure that most people really, really are. People should learn how to approach dogs. They should learn how to ask permission before touching people's dogs. They don't, and that's not your problem, and it's not your dog's problem. So take it as a good opportunity to politely educate by saying, it's okay if you ask my dog, but if my dog's not comfortable, then you can't pet her. That's totally fine. And don't worry about it if the person thinks you're a jerk. So what? Strangers probably think I'm a jerk all the time. So as long as my dog thinks I'm awesome, I'm a happy camper. Next thing on the list, stress is going to be inevitable. This might cause your puppy to have a little bit of diarrhea. So you have just become puppy protector, also puppy poo monitor. And again, if you've ever had a baby at home, you know what this is like. Puppy poop should be soft and formed. It should not be a puddle, and it should not be hard and dry. If it isn't, the first several days, that's to be expected, because the anxiety and the stress can give them a little bit of diarrhea. Sometimes it causes a little constipation, but it's usually diarrhea. If you get a little bit of diarrhea, you want to give your puppy about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin puree, like the stuff that you get for pumpkin pie in the can. I use an organic brand because I don't want GMO squashes. Any pumpkin or sweet potato that is mashed up has a really good fiber in it. It causes them to stop having diarrhea. So this is something you can use for the life of your dog. It's really, really great to have on hand, since an entire can of pumpkin isn't really going to be used. What I like to do is to get an ice cube tray, open up a can of pumpkin, fill the ice tray with pumpkin, and then stick it in the freezer. And then when it's frozen, you can pop them out, stick them in a freezer bag, and keep it in there. And then if your dog ever has diarrhea, you can pull one of those right out of the freezer and feed it to your dog. It works really, really well. Just give your puppy a teaspoon or 2 every day until the first week or so is over. You don't have to use it unless your puppy has diarrhea, but it doesn't hurt them to incorporate it. It will turn their poop kind of orange, but it has a lot of really good vitamins in it too. It's really good for them. Don't hesitate to give that to them. A lot of foods even use sweet potato for this reason, or pumpkin. You can buy supplements that are powdered pumpkin, but it's the same thing. Sometimes I'll like it mixed with a little bit of whole fat yogurt. Yogurt is also great because of the probiotics. So if you don't have your puppy on a probiotic, please do give them, a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of whole fat plain yogurt. And I like to keep them on probiotics until they're done with all their vaccines, at least at a minimum. How often is your puppy going to poop every day? Most puppies poop between 4 and 6 times a day. Now, your puppy's pooping schedule is going to be completely thrown off when you go home. So I have a typical schedule posted online. I recommend just transitioning to your schedule that first day when everything's all topsy-turvy anyway. I'm gonna send you home with a piece of paper that is like a log if you want it. You don't have to take it if you don't want it. But I like to stick it on the fridge and just check off when the puppy is going potty, when the puppy is eating, when the puppy is sleeping. Because after a couple of days when the puppy really starts falling into a routine, you're gonna notice those things. And if you can think ahead and you know when, it's about time for the puppy to pee or it's about time for the puppy to poop, then you can actually get the puppy out to the right place in the right amount of time, and you're gonna make house training a lot easier. Learning your puppy's body and schedule, getting them on your schedule, that's gonna be like your work for the next week. I know that at first it's really exciting to have a new puppy, but try not to have your first couple days be completely not structured. They're gonna nap a lot, your puppy is going to sleep a ton, that's normal. They have a tendency to like water, so they might dig in it, they might splash in it, they might play in it, they might bite at it, they might try to stand in the bowl. That's all normal, but do not leave the water dish down all the time for your puppy, or your puppy is going to drink water all day long and pee every 5 minutes, and you are never going to get your puppy potty trained. You definitely want to make sure that you are offering water with dry kibble. Anytime they're done with a chew treat, they should have water available. Anytime they've just finished a good romp, whether it's outside or inside, Anytime you notice they're panting, you can offer them water. And sometimes they like to drink a lot of water, sometimes they don't. You know, your puppy will drink as much water as they need. You don't have to worry about it. And then with food, again, your puppy will eat as much as your puppy wants to eat. Don't stress if it doesn't seem like a lot. Your puppy is small. And don't stress if it seems like a lot, because your puppy knows what she's doing. She is going to eat as much as she needs to eat. Obviously, if your puppy's not eating at all, that is not good. Not eating is not good. But if your puppy seems like they're being picky or whatever, there could be so many things behind that. You know, too many treats, or maybe your dog's feeling nervous, or maybe your dog is scared of the dish. Sometimes that happens, so you never know. But if your puppy is happy and playful and seems normal in every other way, and they're just like eating a tiny bit of food and you're thinking, oh, it's not very much, it could just be that you're overestimating your puppy's tummy size. Feed your puppy as much as they want. Do not try to regulate how much they're eating. Let them eat as much as they want. They should walk away from food like, oh, I couldn't eat another bite. They can eat twice a day, but if you are home, feed them 3 times a day. Or if you're doing the training where you're hand feeding, then they'll be eating pretty much throughout the day, but at least 2 times a day where you're really feeding them a whole bunch at once, doing a whole bunch of things. I recommend hand feeding. I recommend training for food, for kibble. I prefer giving them food in puzzle treats rather than just giving it to them in a bowl. That first week at home, you just want to make sure that they're bonding. And so I really think that hand feeding them is really awesome, because you're just sort of teaching them that everything good comes from you. You're the food dispenser, you're the snuggle dispenser, you're the water dispenser, you know, you're the toy dispenser. Everything awesome should be coming from you. And so with that in mind, don't just leave toys laying around. They should come from you. Everything good should come from you. That is going to really start that strong bond of your puppy looking at you like you are the provider, and that means that they're going to listen to you, and they're going to want to make you happy, and they're going to want to do what you want them to do, because they want to fit in with your family, because you're awesome, right? You want to convince your puppy that first week that you're awesome. And that will gain your puppy's cooperation in the whole training process. You're definitely going to have a puppy that is into everything. So you're gonna puppy proof your house just like if you had a new baby. Get down on the floor, look around at puppy level and see anything that you think might be a hazard. And then the most important thing is charging cords. We live in this age where we have phones and tablets and e-readers and computers everywhere, and those charging cords have a tendency to be dangling all over the place, plugged in, and that is a serious hazard. Cords need to be kept put away and tucked behind things, not dangling off of counters, and not sitting on the floor for a puppy to chew, especially when they are plugged in. Cords that are not being used should not be left plugged in. And pay attention to your puppy. If you see cord chewing, that puppy needs to be told no and redirected immediately, and they need to be watched, because that's a fast track to, you know, a fried puppy. They bite everything. That's how they explore their world. They put everything in their mouth first. That's their first sense, you know. They're born into the world blind and deaf, but their taste buds work. So, and their nose works. And so those are the senses that they test everything out with first. They sniff everything and they bite everything. And you're going to be constantly trying to get their mouths off of things like your hands, your shoes, you know, the cords, your kids. So just expect that. The biggest thing you can do to puppy proof is just keep your eyeballs on your puppy. Your puppy should not be running free in your house. Your puppy should be under strict supervision at all times. If you cannot watch your puppy, he should either be in a crate or in a playpen. Playpens are great. I love playpens. They will cry and whine and complain. They aren't gonna like it, but it's better than your puppy running around the house, getting into things, making bad habits, slowing down their house training, potentially eating things that are toxic. It's not cruel to keep them contained for their own safety. A crib is the same thing as a crate, and a playpen for a human baby, same thing that it is for a puppy. The difference is that the puppy playpens are way bigger than baby playpens. So don't feel bad about putting them in a playpen. People often lock puppies in the bathroom, or they block them off with a gate, baby gate in the kitchen. That is not a good idea, because sometimes they will chew on cabinetry or baseboards and ruin things that are very expensive or difficult to replace. And you can always leash your puppy to your pants, and then you will keep your puppy with you when you're walking around. So like you're making dinner or you're doing the dishes or something super fun like that, then at least your puppy is right there. And so he's not, off in the other room getting into something. If you're gonna gate him in the room that you're in and your eyes aren't directly on the puppy, but you're able to like look over at the puppy every couple of minutes, that's fine. I don't mean that you have to walk around staring at the puppy every second of every day, because who could do that? As much as you want to believe your kids when they swear that they will watch the puppy, unless your kids are older than 14, they probably won't. They're just so easily distracted, and it's not their fault. Their attention spans just typically aren't long enough. They'll be looking at something else and the puppy is, down the street. Or they got distracted because a cartoon is on that their little brother is watching, and the next thing you know, the puppy's pooped behind the couch and nobody even saw it happen. That's just setting yourself up for frustration and for your kids to feel bad. They can't help it. Don't expect them to be able to really keep an eye on the puppy. Let them watch the puppy. Tell them that it's okay, that they can watch the puppy, but make sure you're in the same room. You might be sitting there doing work on your computer or something, and the puppy's blocked in the room with you, and your kid's in there, and you say, okay, you can play with the puppy, but you have to watch the puppy, you have to supervise, and then let them supervise the puppy, but you're also right there kind of keeping it under control. I'm going to link to a ton of articles in the description box where you can really look through all of those things. Right now it is crate training. Read the crate training article, and then there's a potty training tips. It's really quick. It's not hard. It's not like super difficult to get through. And then the other really important thing is protecting your puppy, making sure your puppy is knowing that all good things are coming from you, getting into the routine with your puppy, and like I said before, teaching your puppy English. So I want you to start repeating the same words over and over and over again to your puppy. When you are labeling things with your puppy, you're labeling words that you want your puppy to know as commands. So it's not quite the same thing as just stating what a noun is over and over again. Verbs are a little bit different. If your puppy, for example, is going potty, you want them to go potty on command. Well, how do you teach them to do that? So as soon as a dog squats into a pee, use whatever word you would like to label that with. So you say go potty. The puppy squats down to pee, you're gonna say go potty. As they already are doing it, you're gonna say go potty. You are actually teaching them that that action coincides with the words go potty. They will notice it. Little kids are really bad at this. They'll say sit, 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 sit over and over and over to the dog, not knowing that the puppy has no idea what they're doing, what they're saying. But you have to get them not to do that. If they sit down and you're watching them sit down, say sit as they're sitting. And then they'll sit down with that word in their head. And when they go potty, you're gonna say go potty. When you hand them a toy, you're gonna say take it. When you take a toy from them, you're gonna say give it or give. You're gonna link those actions with the words, and you're just gonna do it over and over again. Every time you put your puppy in the crate, you're gonna say go to bed. Whatever words you wanna use, it doesn't matter. Just pick a word and say the same word over and over. When they're already doing something that you want them to do on command, just label it as soon as they start doing it, and then praise them when they're done. And they're gonna be like, oh, I did good. So you say go potty, and then when they're done going potty, you say good job. Repeat the same thing that you just said. So if you say go potty, then as soon as they're done, you're gonna say good, go potty, good potty, good potty. And they're gonna be hearing that word and linking it to this positive experience that they liked. Set them up for success. Set them up to know what it is you're asking for, and then to know that if they do it, good things are gonna happen. No is the word that everybody is really fond of, screaming no at their dog. And you don't want that to be the only thing that your dog learns. It's like a trainer joke about the dog who thinks his name is No, which is just sad. So don't be screaming no at your dog all the time. And then the other really important action that you're gonna be labeling is come here. Say come here, come here. Everybody's gonna be doing it. Come here, come here, come here. That's good. Pick a word that's what I call a throwaway word, right? Come here is really good. It's kind of like one fluid word. It's not the same thing as come. You can use that word, repeat it all the time in the house, and the dog knows to like come over to you. But later down the line, when you train the recall, which is training a dog to come, you're gonna use a slightly different command. Like you might say, say your dog's name is Peter. You might say, Peter, come. And that's gonna be different than come here. It's like using your mom voice with your kids. That is like the oh, whatever they're doing, they're gonna like stop what they're doing. So if you're saying, you know, Peter, come, it doesn't have to sound mad. In fact, you don't want it to sound mad or they won't come to you, but you want it to be like loud and very specific. It's not the same thing as come here. That's gonna be a word that you only ever use when you're training, and then after that, when you really mean business and you need the dog to come. So that's gonna be important. But even with that distinction, so that you don't muddy up the recall later, you still need to make sure that even when you're saying come here, come here, come here, that you are never following that up with something negative. A lot of people make that mistake in the early days. Do not call your puppy and when the puppy gets to you, then put the puppy in a crate, because they're just gonna link those two things. I'm like, why are they gonna come to you if every time they come to you, something sucky happens? You know, they're just gonna avoid you. Or they will come over to you because they want to, but they're gonna stay out of your reach. Don't do that to them. Don't call them to come over to you and then immediately go in the house. You know, if that's not fun to them, if you're ending their fun when you call them, they're not gonna come when you call. There's little things like that that they'll actually start doing. Like if they wanna play outside and when they potty, you immediately make them go back in the house and they wanna be outside, they will learn not to potty right away. They will play first and then you'll be out there like, why has it been 20 minutes? I can't tell you how many times I get that call. It's been 20 minutes and the dog is not going to the bathroom. They're just playing. And that's because the puppy wants to play and they know that if they don't take the time now, they're never gonna get it. And that's a tricky one to deal with, especially if it's like 2 degrees outside. So it's not an easy one to deal with. So, you know, try to prevent it from being a problem before it's a problem by making sure that anything your dog perceives as negative is not coming immediately after a command that you want the dog to voluntarily follow, if that makes sense, right? Don't say come here and then put the dog in his crate. Don't say come here and end the dog's playtime. What you want to do, if you need the dog to come here and then you need to go in the house, then you can say come here, clip the dog on a leash or pick the dog up and then continue the fun for a few minutes. Try to like space out the verbal command and so they can't link it. You know, dogs are very like if A then B, but they can't really think if A then B then C. They don't really think that way. So if you like space out a little bit and get their mind to forget that you just called them, then you can go inside and the dog won't necessarily link the two. There is an article that I wrote on when not to tell your dog to come here, and that I'm gonna put that down in the description box as well. So, you know, skim through that when you get a chance. As far as socializing, I said before, no dog parks, no places where other dogs are, no dogs that you don't know, but it is okay for your puppy to play with other dogs. If you know the dogs and you know the dog's owners, and you know that that dog is vaccinated, that's fine. No puppies. Keep your puppy away from other puppies. But don't let your puppy hang out with puppies that are brand new from a breeder or from a pet store or from a rescue, because they could be carrying all kinds of dangerous diseases. Your puppy is not going to be fully safely vaccinated until 16 weeks of age. No, you don't want to keep your puppy inside. Yes, you can take walks with your puppy. Yes, you can go outside with your puppy. No dog parks, no strange dogs. The veterinary hospital is one of those places where you can pick up a lot of germs, just like taking your kids to the pediatrician or you going into the ER. You know, you walk in that ER, you know you're coming home with the flu. That's the way the vet hospital can be. So when you go in the vet hospital, carry your puppy. Don't let them get away with not washing their hands. Ask them to wash the table in front of you if they don't, so that you know that it's clean. That, or when they walk away, just grab that bottle of cleaner and clean it yourself. I've worked at a lot of vets, and a lot of times the staff have to work their butts off to keep things clean, and it's still really hard to prevent patients from passing things to each other. I am absolutely not bashing on anyone because I worked in a vet tech, and I'm telling you right now, they are way, way, way underpaid, and they are way overworked. I want to make sure that that table is cleaned right in front of me, and if it's not, I will do it myself when they walk away. I'll try not to feel bad for asking things like if the vet walks in and doesn't wash their hands or put on gloves, or walks in with gloves on, that always makes me nervous. Like, it's okay to hold your puppy back and just say, you know, I'm just so nervous with my new puppy. I know, I'm just a nervous new mom. Would you please I just really feel more comfortable if I saw you put on fresh gloves, or I would really feel more comfortable if I saw you wash your hands. And sometimes you go into a vet hospital and they're like amazing. So if you notice that, that's fabulous. But if you don't, just feel free to pay attention and speak up. Feel free to spray your shoes down with Lysol or something when you come out of there if you want to. That's not a bad idea, or even wearing shoe covers, although you probably feel silly doing that, but it isn't a bad idea. What I personally do, I bring in a pee pad and then I put it down on the table and I put my puppy on the pee pad. And that way the puppy's just not even on the table at all. And then when the puppy's done with its checkup, I pick the puppy up and then the pee pad goes right in the trash. I don't even touch the bottom of it. I just pick it up in the top and just throw it right in their garbage can and I'm out of there. And then I spray down my shoes when I leave, because it's just, it's where everybody's sick goes. So that's where all the germs are. Insurance. Do you need insurance? Insurance is a tough one. You definitely have to just look into it, see what's best for you. Healthy Paws is the one that I recommend. I will put my link in the description box below, but this is what I will say. If you guys decide not to do insurance, if you have a partner, then definitely the two of you sit down. If you're on your own, you know, sit down with someone you trust and have a conversation with them, an honest conversation about what you will do if there is an emergency, because I have seen people bankrupted over emergencies with their pets. It is unreal how expensive veterinary care is, and you do not want to be thinking about what your budget is when something goes wrong. Heaven forbid your sweet dog gets hit by a car. That is not the time to think, how much money can we actually realistically afford? Now, I know that our dogs are our family members and we love them so much, but we also have to be responsible adults. And a lot of us are parents too. We have to feed our kids and we have to pay our mortgage, and these things are just real life. And sometimes we don't have access to those kinds of credit cards, or know that if we spend $20,000 on chemotherapy for a dog, that is really going to hurt us financially. And sometimes those hard decisions have to be made. It is not the time to think about those decisions in the middle of a crisis. You have to sit down and have that very grim discussion with somebody that you trust or with your partner to really say, like, what can we really afford? Is there a cap? Then we agree that we will not spend more than that. Ultimately, if you've got something that's ridiculously crazy expensive, you may have to make the call to put the dog down. You're gonna have to touch base and have that conversation every couple years, because your dog is aging, your dog starts to get older, and health problems are going to start to increase, because that's what happens with seniors, and you are going to have the senior dog talk at some point. So if you don't have health insurance, you must have those talks, and they're really hard to have, but you have to have them, and then you have to agree and you have to stick to it. All right, guys, so I think I covered everything that I could think of, and I'm sure that you guys will have questions for me, so just bring them with you, and I will see you in, I guess, a couple days. So that's exciting. All right, bye guys.